A call to the mission field feels like a great adventure. It is an answer to a deep prayer. We pack our bags with excitement and purpose. We believe we are following God's plan. The journey is filled with hope for the work ahead. We dream of sharing God's love with people who have never heard it. This calling is a high and holy thing. It fills our hearts with a fire. We say goodbye to our homes, our families, and our friends. We step onto a path that feels right and true. The world sees the courage and the dedication. They see the smiles in the pictures we send back home. But there is a part of this life that is not often seen. It is a quiet and heavy shadow that can follow us. Behind the adventure lies a hidden challenge. This challenge is loneliness. It is a deep and quiet ache in the soul. It is not something we talk about much. We feel we should be strong. We feel we should be joyful in our service. But the human heart needs connection. It needs the comfort of familiar faces and voices. When you are thousands of miles from everything you have ever known, the world can feel very big and empty. The new sounds and smells are exciting at first, but soon they just remind you that you are a stranger in a strange land. This loneliness is not a sign of weakness. It is a part of the human experience. It is a part of the sacrifice we make. The work of a missionary is demanding. It takes all of our strength and all of our focus. We spend our days learning new customs and trying to speak a new language. We pour ourselves out for the people we came to serve. We give our time, our energy, and our love. But at the end of the day, when the work is done, the quiet returns. The house is empty. There is no one to share the small victories or the heavy burdens with. We sit alone with our thoughts. The silence can be loud. It can echo with the memories of laughter from home. It is in these quiet moments that the shadow of loneliness grows the longest and the darkest. This feeling of isolation is a test of faith. It pushes us to lean on God in a way we never have before. It forces us to ask hard questions. We wonder if we are truly making a difference. We wonder if we have the strength to continue. The letters from home are a lifeline, but they also remind us of what we are missing. We miss the simple things, like a hug from a parent or a long talk with a best friend. We miss being understood without having to explain everything. This is the unseen part of the missionary life. It is the cost of obedience. It is the price of following the call, but it is also where God meets us in a profound way. Serving in a place like Albania has its own unique struggles. The country has a long and complex history. The culture is strong and deeply rooted. As an outsider, you are always aware of your differences. The way people think, the way they relate to each other, and the way they see the world is not the same as what you know. This is not a bad thing, but it creates a wall. It is a wall you must slowly and patiently try to climb over every single day. Learning the beautiful but difficult Albanian language is only the first step. Understanding the heart of the people takes much longer. It requires humility and a willingness to listen and learn, even when you feel misunderstood. The feeling of being far from home is a constant companion. You miss holidays and birthdays. You miss weddings and funerals. Life goes on without you back home, and you feel the distance in every missed moment. The people you love the most are just voices on a phone call or faces on a screen. The time difference makes it hard to connect. When your day is ending, theirs is just beginning. You try to share your life with them, but it is hard to explain the challenges and the joys. They cannot fully understand your new world, and you feel a growing separation from your old one. This gap can make you feel like you do not truly belong anywhere anymore. Homesickness is a real and powerful emotion. It is more than just missing your house or your favorite food. It is a deep ache for the comfort of the familiar. It is a longing for the ease of being known and loved by those who have known you your whole life. In Albania, everything is new and requires effort. Ordering food, going to the market, and having a simple conversation can be exhausting. When you are tired and overwhelmed, homesickness can hit you like a wave. It can make you question your calling and your purpose. It is a heavy burden to carry, and you often feel like you must carry it alone. You do not want to worry your family back home, so you put on a brave face. I remember one particular afternoon in Tirana. The city was busy, and the sounds of traffic filled the air. I had spent the morning trying to have a meaningful conversation with a neighbor, but my limited Albanian failed me. I felt clumsy and foolish. I walked back to my small apartment, feeling a profound sense of isolation. I looked at the pictures on my wall of my family and friends, and the tears came. They were so far away. In that moment, the weight of my loneliness felt unbearable. I felt like a small ship lost on a vast and empty sea. I was surrounded by people, yet I had never felt so alone in my entire life. It was a moment of deep despair. The Bible shows us that even the greatest servants of God face loneliness. We can look at the story of the prophet Elijah. After his great victory on Mount Carmel, where God sent fire from heaven, he should have been celebrating. But instead, he was afraid. Queen Jezebel threatened his life, and Elijah ran into the wilderness to hide. He was exhausted, discouraged, and completely alone. He sat down under a broom tree and prayed that he might die. He said, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life." This was a man who had seen God's power in a mighty way. Yet, he was overwhelmed by fear and isolation. He felt that he was the only one left who was faithful to God. Elijah's story gives us comfort. It shows us that feeling lonely and discouraged is not a sign of a weak faith. It is part of the human condition, even for those who walk closely with God. Elijah was physically and emotionally drained. He had given everything he had, and he felt empty. His cry to God was a cry of pure desperation. He did not hide his feelings. He poured out his broken heart to the Lord. He was honest about his pain and his despair, and God did not rebuke him for his weakness. God did not tell him to be stronger. Instead, God met him right there in his moment of need. God's response was not a lecture, but an act of gentle care. For a missionary, there are many days that feel like sitting under that broom tree. The spiritual battles can be intense. The lack of visible fruit from our labor can be discouraging. We can feel like our efforts are making no difference. We can feel forgotten by God and by the people we left behind. Like Elijah, we can feel that we are the only ones struggling. It is easy to look at other missionaries and think they have it all together. But the truth is, we all have our moments of doubt and despair. We all have times when we want to give up. The enemy wants us to believe we are alone in this fight. He wants us to sink into self-pity and hopelessness. But God's response to Elijah teaches us a powerful lesson. God sent an angel to provide food and water for his weary servant. He let Elijah rest and regain his strength. He gently called him to continue his journey. God did not abandon him in his loneliness. He provided for his physical and emotional needs. This shows us that God understands our human frailty. He knows when we are at our breaking point. He sees our tears and hears our desperate prayers. He is not a distant God who is disappointed in our struggles. He is a compassionate Father who comes close to us in our pain and offers us his strength and his comfort. When loneliness feels overwhelming, we must remember that God's presence is our greatest comfort. He promises never to leave us or forsake us. This is not just a nice saying, it is a profound truth that can sustain us in our darkest hours. We may not feel his presence all the time. Our emotions can lie to us, but we must hold on to his promise by faith. We must learn to seek him in the quiet moments. Instead of letting the silence be filled with our fears, we can fill it with prayer. We can pour out our hearts to him, just as Elijah did. We can tell him about our loneliness, our homesickness, and our doubts. He is a faithful friend who listens to every word. Finding community, even in small ways, is also very important. God did not create us to be alone. He created us for fellowship. It may be hard to find deep friendships in a new culture, but we can look for other believers. Connecting with other missionaries or local Christians can be a lifeline. Sharing our struggles with someone who understands can lift a heavy weight from our shoulders. Even a short conversation or a shared meal can remind us that we are not alone. God often shows his love for us through the kindness of other people. We must be willing to be vulnerable and reach out even when it feels hard. It is a step of faith to trust others with our hearts. We can also find strength by focusing on our purpose. We must remember why we answered the call in the first place. We are here to be ambassadors for Christ. We are here to share the hope of the gospel. When we focus on the needs of others, our own problems can seem smaller. We can ask God to give us his love for the people we are serving. We can pray for opportunities to show his kindness. When we step out in obedience, even when we feel weak, God gives us the strength we need. Serving others is a powerful antidote to loneliness. It reminds us that our lives have a purpose that is bigger than our own comfort. Finally, hope is found in the quiet whisper of God. After the wind, the earthquake, and the fire, God spoke to Elijah in a still, small voice. He reminded Elijah that he was not alone. There were 7,000 others who had not bowed to Baal. God gave him a new purpose and a new direction. In the same way, God speaks to us. He may not solve all our problems at once, but he gives us enough grace for today. He gives us hope for tomorrow. He reminds us that our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory. We can find strength in his promises, comfort in his presence, and hope in his unfailing love.